Hey guys, welcome. Happy Tuesday. I am Michelle Fondin, and this is Chat with the Author live Q&A. And I want to welcome you here, whether you're viewing this live or whether you are viewing this on replay. You are most welcome. And if you are here, you can ask questions about any topic that I write about or any topic I address on my YouTube channel. That includes spirituality, spiritual awakening, twin flames, soulmates, karmic relationships, twin flame relationships, romantic relationships, having to do with the chakras, the Yoga Sutras, Ayurveda, Ayurvedic medicine, Eastern philosophy, and alcoholism. So any of the books I've written, any of the videos I've produced, you can ask questions about those topics. So if you are joining me now, if you are here with me live as I'm here coming to you from Southern California, please do put something in the chat box. Say where you're viewing this from. Engage, because engagement is what this is all about. This is my opportunity to get to talk with you, something I'm not able to do when I just post the videos on YouTube. So I want to thank you guys for being here. Hello from the other side of the world, a 12 midnight vlog. Where are you watching this from? What country in particular are you watching this from? And welcome. So you can ask your questions, as I mentioned. All you need to do is just pop them in the chat box. And I want to make a quick announcement again, if you're viewing this live or if you are viewing this on replay, I would like to invite you to join me on Monday, February 16th of 2026, which is President's Day here in the US, at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, for a free Zoom call to find out all about the meditation course that I teach. Now, of course, if you've taken the course and you loved it, you can pop that in the chat. But this is an info session, so you can find out more, ask your questions, see if you like it, see what it's all about. And I'm going to be doing some book giveaways on the call, as well as giving you the bonuses. There's going to be a bonus, my Dharma workshop, which is a 2 to 3 hour workshop, depending on how many participants there are, to help you find your life's purpose. So that will be included in the package if you're on the call. So hello from the Philippines, and you're working in China. Okay, wow. Yeah, so certainly at the other side of the world. I'm imagining you are in my future, that it is Wednesday for you. That's what I'm imagining. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining me here today. So the other thing I wanted to emphasize, again, if for those that are joining after or watching this on replay, my latest book, The 8 Limbs of Yoga for Modern Times, I want to do something for the yogis in the audience. And whether you're a yogi, whether you're a yoga teacher in training, or you run a yoga teacher training program, or you know somebody who does, this year in 2026, I am offering a free seminar over Zoom for yogis, yoga teachers in training on the 8 limbs of yoga. That first free seminar will be probably toward the end of March, but if you're interested, please do email me at michellefondinauthor@gmail.com, or just sign up for my newsletter on my website, michellefondinauthor.com. And that way you can be on the list. So when I do that free seminar, if you're a yogi interested in yoga philosophy and just want a brief synopsis of it, I'm going to be doing that live over Zoom. So I invite you, and tell your yoga friends about it as well. So 12 midnight vlog said, I saw your video from 6 years ago about twin flames. I watched all of them. Oh, wow. That was quite a lot of them. Well, thank you so much for being back. I really, really appreciate it. So if you have any questions, make sure to put that in the chat below. So what I usually do on these live streams is that if there's no question immediately, I have a list of common questions that I'm asked quite often either in the comments section, in the chat, or in one-on-one tarot readings that I still do. So I draw from those as topics that people typically ask about, because I really feel like if one person or two people ask about it, chances are there are other people that have those questions as well. So I am going to start. Actually, it's funny that you talked about twin flames, because I am going to start with a twin flame question. And the twin flame question is, do you think the universe delays union on purpose until we are truly ready? So my answer to that question is yes and no. What I have seen through my coaching, and I can only make an assessment on the twin flames that I've coached in my coaching sessions, or people that say stuff on YouTube. And my answer to that question is yes and no. I have seen twin flames that come together before they're really ready, but they're in a full-blown relationship. And I've even coached some of them that have been together. They live together, they got married. But what I have seen, and that's the reason they're coming to me, because if everything was hunky-dory, they would not be coming to me. But if they come to me, it's usually because there's a lot of triggering that's still going on. In other words, there's a lot of problems and inner child healing wounds that are still being worked through. And so, yes, you can still come together if you are unhealed or your twin flame is unhealed, but usually it's a lot more problematic. There's a lot more drama. There's a lot more obstacles to overcome. So the other side that I've seen, which is actually more common, is the universe kind of putting a halt on things until both parties have done their healing work. Now, how do we really know, right? How do we really know if the other party, the other twin flame, has done their healing work? Well, when they do come back in some way, shape, or form through some level of communication, that they start talking different. They act different. There is a different demeanor in them. So they're not running. They're not giving a bunch of excuses to you. Usually they're taking ownership for the things that they have done in the past. They're taking ownership for their behavior. They're taking ownership for the things that they have said. So you would see that slight shift happening in them, or maybe a humongous shift that has happened in them if they're on the path to becoming healed and becoming more enlightened. And that spiritual maturity that we all seek, right? That spiritual maturity. So to put it, I guess, less succinctly, because I've been speaking about this for a few minutes, I would say the answer is yes. Most oftentimes the universe will put a halt on the union of the physical union of twin flames until there's enough healing that you guys can come together, and for there not to be so much hurt and pain and drama. At times, there's the on again, off again situation that I do talk about on YouTube in quite a few videos. I also speak about it in my book, Twin Flame Union, The 7 Keys, which I know a lot of you out there have read. And I do talk about that, about the on again, off again is sometimes designed for that triggering to happen. So then you separate again and you work on that stuff, right? Hopefully you work on that stuff. So yeah, so that would be the answer to that question. So 12 Midnight Vlog says, my DM is a runner. Both of us in a separation mode. He overthinks too much. Yes, that frequently happens, right? Where they're overthinking things. And that's usually they're not aligned with their heart chakra, right? They're not aligned with what's going on in here. And they're not feeling into the connection with their heart, with an open heart chakra, that they're more cerebral. It's more up here, right? So they're thinking about things, trying to rationalize. And it's problematic because you cannot rationalize a spiritual connection. You can't rationalize a spiritual awakening. You have to really feel into it with your body, with your whole body, right? I know Mr. Mavic had a question for me, and I can't remember the question. So Mr. Mavic, If you could please go ahead and put that in the chat if you remember what your question was. And if you're just joining me now, I want to welcome you here. If you're joining me on replay, thank you so much for watching this. I really appreciate you being here and supporting my YouTube channel. So I had something happen today that was quite triggering for me. It was an emotional experience, and I'm not going to talk about that. What I'm going to talk about are steps you can take, because this is something that I've been learning through my inner child healing work. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I spoke about it in my Michelle Fondin author vlog from a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. So you can go back into the playlist of the Michelle Fondin author vlog and you can look that one up. But I was really speaking about this inner child healing work that I have been doing because I'm writing my upcoming book, Love Me Unconditionally, A Spiritual Guide to Self-Love. So I wrote these steps in response to what was happening because I have not been so good at feeling my feelings in the moment, right? So let's talk for a minute about what happens when something happens, if that makes sense. What happens when you're going about your day and something might have happened? So someone says something to you, someone texts you something, somebody had an argument in front of you, or someone was rude to you, and you have feelings about it, but you're not consciously aware that you have feelings about it because you're just going about your day. You're doing your things. You may be driving your car. You may be at work, talking on the phone to someone, but you're still feeling these feelings. But then all of a sudden your mood changes, right? So you may be having a great day. You've been feeling tranquil and peaceful and good. And then all of a sudden there's a shift in your mood. And with the shift in your mood, you're like, not feeling so good anymore. You're like, oh, you feel your energy kind of like lowering down, and you might feel a little irritated or annoyed or frustrated. And then you're like, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And so what I've learned to do through this inner child work is to ask myself, okay, first of all, I am not going to let these negative emotions fester. So that's the first thing that I'm telling myself. I don't like it when my mood is dampened, so I'm not going to let this fester. Okay, that's the first thing. So then today, what I did was I said, stop. What just happened? What just happened that changed my mood? So then what you do is you go, what just happened? You say this to yourself, what just happened? So you might say to yourself, this person was rude to me. I received this text. I got this message. I got this email. Somebody cut me off on the highway. Something happened. So you say, what just happened? And then you say to yourself, what am I feeling right now? What am I actually feeling right now? It may not be related to what happened, but it could have been a memory. Like what happened, sorry, I'm taking a sip of water. What happened created a trigger, and that trigger caused you to feel something. So what just happened, and what am I actually feeling right now? What is my feeling? Am I frustrated? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I upset? Am I depressed? Am I whatever? Next, after you figure out what just happened, how am I feeling, then you go to, who is feeling this? This is the most important question. Who is feeling this? Is it you, your adult self, that is feeling this? Yes or no? Is it your inner child who is feeling this? Yes or no? If it's your inner child who's feeling this, then what age is your inner child feeling this? Is it your 6-year-old self, your teenage self, your 5-year-old self? Your 1-year-old self, right? Is it my ego that's feeling this? Was my ego bruised or hurt because of what just happened? So when you have all these sensations of awareness, typically the negative feelings are going to start to dissipate because you have given them a voice. You've recognized what is going on and you're giving them a voice. And a lot of us who were not trained to actually feel our feelings, this is a great tool. It's a wonderful tool, and your mood will change. Even if it's something you have to deal with later, like if the feelings you can't deal with in the spur of the moment, that's okay. Just put a pin in it. You could deal with it later that day, but at least you've identified it. And this is really, really helpful so that you don't let the negativity fester inside of your body, inside of your mood, and you allow yourself to move through your day in a more positive light. Sorry, taking a drink of water now. So I hope that was helpful for those of you who have a more difficult time dealing with your emotions in the moment, and you find yourself getting in a bad mood and then you don't even know why you're in a bad mood, right? Okay, so hello, Milk for a Snack. I'm going to go to Mr. Mavick's question, and welcome if you're just joining me now. I'm aware of the 7 main chakras, but how many total chakras are there? Mr. Mavick, that's totally debatable. I've heard like 114 chakras. I've heard 144 chakras. I once heard that the chakras are kind of like the energy meridians in the body, because in Ayurveda, Vedanta, so Vedic thought, which the chakra system comes from the tantric philosophy, not the Vedic philosophy. They're two different bodies of knowledge. I even heard that they're the nadis, which are like, think of acupressure points in Chinese medicine. There are 72,000 nadis, which are those acupressure points on the body, right? Throughout the body. And so I had even heard that those acupressure points are like mini chakras. And then I couldn't find evidence to support that claim. So I've heard, I think 114. I've also heard 144, somewhere in the middle. But the main focus really is typically on the 7 main chakras, to be honest. But any energy healer, which is fabulous, like any energy healer that works with Ayurvedic healing or Chinese meridian healing, can really work through to open up those finer, fine-tuned energy centers. The 7 main chakras are just the major ones. Okay. Milk for a Snack says, hey, fun to be alive. Fun to be alive. Do you have a question in that? You said I could not call 8 years a huge age gap at all. What is your question? I mean, 8 years is an age gap if you're speaking of twin flames. It's not like humongous, but yeah, it's still an age gap. I know a lot of people that have 20 years or even 30 years age gap. That's a lot. But yeah, 8 years I would say is not terrible, right? But thank you for joining me live. I totally appreciate it. And if you do have a question, pop it in the chat box. And if you're joining me now, welcome. Go ahead and write where you're viewing this from. Okay, so I'm going to my next question. And the next question is, oh, this is really crazy for me, because I mentioned that I was moving through some inner child work. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna watch the chat for a moment. You're very welcome, 12 Midnight Vlog. So Milk for Snack says, I fell into the twin flame dynamic. I was not expecting it. I was like, there you are. And how do you exist? Yeah, I hear that every day. Most people are like that. Most people are like, what? Like, I totally was not looking for this. And I think that was actually in my 14 signs video, right? I was like, totally not looking for this. There you are. Yeah, absolutely. So why does awakening trigger old childhood wounds? I thought I was past all this. Yeah. So, you know, I was listening to a video with Louise Hay and Cheryl Richardson from a million years ago. I think that video may have been done around 2009. So not a million years ago, but something like that. And it was interesting because Cheryl said that and I was very new to Cheryl Richardson's like work until I saw that video. And she said something like a therapist told her that she was really, really good at mentally, like intellectually telling the story of her childhood, like telling the past, the stories about her childhood. So she was really good at articulating it, really good at telling the stories, but she was not good at feeling the stories. And so what I believe is that when we awaken and old childhood wounds are triggered, like inner child wounds are triggered, we go into the feeling stages of that. And that certainly happened for me because I had intellectualized, and there was a term that I talk about in a few videos, and I'm writing about it in my upcoming book, spiritual bypassing, that through love, compassion, forgiveness, many sensitive souls, many who were awakened earlier in life, they learn very early on as a coping mechanism to override their feelings with spiritual words, right? Like, you got to love like Jesus, and compassion and love, and turn the other cheek, and forgiveness. That's all well and good, but that doesn't mean you don't have feelings. You still have to feel your feelings. So I feel like when we're triggered upon a spiritual awakening, when a lot of these wounds from childhood resurface, it's not that you haven't thought about it, because you may have thought about it in therapy for many years. You may have written about it and thought about it, but no, it's more that you may not have felt it, like felt it from the inside. And when you awaken, you open up. And especially if you awaken with like a twin flame connection, your heart like breaks open and you are left very vulnerable. And a lot of times that's when you're feeling the feelings of something you should have felt as you were healing, and maybe just not intellectualizing it, if that makes sense. So I hope that answered the question. Okay. So, all right, so I'm reading the chat. I was just looking for a, well, thank you so much. I appreciate the feedback about the twin flame material that I produced on YouTube. I really appreciate it. That a lot of work went into that, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And I certainly have well over 1,400 videos on twin flames on my YouTube channel. The other 600 and some change are about other topics that I write about, but a lot was on the twin flame stuff. Okay, so I want to welcome you here if you are just joining me. I love the fact that you guys are putting stuff in the chat box and engaging. That is what this is all about. So yeah, I love it. And I welcome your questions about any of the work that I've published. I welcome your questions on any topic I address on this YouTube channel as well. Milk for a Snack said, wait, you have how many? Yeah, isn't that crazy? I've lost count on how many of them are actually twin flame videos, but probably close to 1,400. That includes shorts, right? Shorts are a little bit of a different animal, but that includes the shorts. But yeah, I think the first 2 years, I was probably, through 2022, I was probably doing 5 to 6 videos a week on twin flames. Now, some of that were twin flame tarot readings as well. It wasn't all content videos, but yeah, it was a lot. It was really a lot. You're very welcome. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate the feedback. I loved doing that whole series when I did it. And I think I exhausted so many of those topics, but if you have questions about your twin flame journey, feel free. I pretty much know the answers to most of the questions. Okay, so I really want to shift gears a little bit and answer a question that comes to me often. Now, the audience here may not be dealing with this sort of situation. However, there is a portion of my audience that does come to me because of a little book that I wrote. And I know this camera, and I need to figure out the camera settings, but it does blur the background. Here we go. Let me just show you if I can find it. Other side. So in 2016, I wrote this little book called Help. See, it's blurring. Help, I Think My Loved One's an Alcoholic, a Survival Guide for Lovers, Family, and Friends. So there is a portion of my audience that is dealing with that. And so I want to answer this quick question. Then I will definitely go into the questions in the chat. So the question here is, why do I feel responsible for my loved one's recovery? This one I wanted to answer because it's very near and dear to my heart. And in fact, I didn't even know that I was going to answer this question today. And besides the point, I was writing a little example in my book, upcoming book, Love Me Unconditionally, that included this very topic in that book. It was just a personal example I was giving from a story. And why do I feel responsible for my loved one's recovery? Now, some of you out there may have a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a best friend, or a spouse who deals with alcohol use disorder. It's a very common thing. So I'm going to answer it pretty succinctly. The reason you feel responsible for your loved one's recovery is because you are caught up in the codependent dynamic of that relationship, and your alcoholic person has without a doubt tried to cast the blame on you for their drinking. It's something very common. Alcoholics deflect because as soon as you say to them, oh my God, you're drinking again, why are you drinking so much? They've learned very quickly how to deflect it back to you. Oh, you're always on my case. You're always nagging me. Your nagging causes me to drink more. If you would just get off my case, I would stop drinking. So there's a lot of blaming going on. And so that's why when it gets toward the point at which you're like, oh yeah, my person is an alcoholic, my loved one, my mother, father, sister, brother, spouse, best friend, by that time, you have already taken on so much of the guilt and blame. And you have really enmeshed yourself like this sticky mess in the relationship that you feel responsible. If only I didn't do this, or if only I did this, they would get better. And in my book, I literally state you cannot be pretty enough, smart enough, handsome enough, clever enough, intelligent enough to make your loved one stop drinking. It's a disease. They have to do it on their own. So never feel that it is your responsibility to get your alcoholic loved one sober. It is their responsibility and their responsibility only. Okay. I know a little bit of seriousness in the topic. All right, let's take a look at some of the questions. So Manifesting Beauties, hello there. Hi, welcome, welcome. Okay, so here we go. Do you personally believe that there is only one twin flame or open to multiple in one lifetime? I believe that we have one twin flame and multiple soulmates, right? I feel like by the nature of twin flame, it's like the twin soul. So basically the mirror soul, the twin soul, the soul split in two to accomplish a task in this and many lifetimes. But you can have many soulmates, and you do have a soul family that includes soulmates. So it's like a great big group of souls that decides to incarnate at the same time in this lifetime or others, right? And you are designed to help each other out and help the advancement of the collective soul. And I know that's really hard to understand if you don't really get the idea of a collective soul. It is something I do write about in many of my books, but it's sort of like, just think of it as a clump of souls that kind of incarnate together. They just separate to take on bodies. And so that's why you have so many soulmates that can come in so many different forms. They don't have to be lovers. They can be, but they don't have to be. They could be a sister, brother, could be a parent figure. But they're always designed to push you a little bit further on your journey. So that's my answer. I don't know. I'm not dead yet. I think, asking God, the universe, once I cross over again, that might be a good question. Milk for Snack said, yep, alcohol in my family runs deep. It didn't get me though, 39. I only tried drinking last year. Yeah, and it's really hard because the scars from having had a family or a loved one who does have a drinking problem, the scars are still there, right? The coping mechanisms are still there. The codependent behaviors tend to still be there. And it's usually something that does come up, especially like during a spiritual awakening. Those are the types of things that do arise. Mr. Mavic, hello and welcome, sir. In your experience, what do you feel are your most dominant clairs? Thank you for asking. So for those of you out there who are like, what is Mr. Mavic talking about? What are clairs? What are they? So we have 4 clairs that I personally know of and that I was taught by my teachers when I was learning how to read tarot. And if you're interested, I do have a wonderful course called How to Read Tarot Like a Pro. But there are 4 clairs, and these are psychic gifts, if you will, that everybody has. You just might not be attuned to those specific gifts. And the 4 clairs are clairvoyance, which most people are familiar with this word, right? Clairvoyance, that's like seeing things. You might see auras, colors, shapes. You might see angels. You might see spirit guides. You might see ancestors. Okay, that's clairvoyance. Clairaudience, someone speaking into your ear, right? It's like where you hear voices. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? You hear voices. But just know that the voices of the angels are always loving and kind. Always, always. And then there's clairsentience, where you feel it on your skin, like you kind of feel it, right? Clairsentience is a very common clair. And then you have clair, which are like thoughts moving into your head. That's claircognizance. So those are the 4 main clairs. For me personally, my strongest clair when I was learning how to read tarot, when I was learning how to listen to the angels, my strongest clair was claircognizance. So kind of like hearing thoughts, thinking thoughts, but hearing the thoughts. Okay. Next, my second strongest clair was clairsentience. So feeling, like I would get what some people refer to as like angel bumps, when you get the goosebumps when you're like, for me, it was reading tarot or speaking to the angels or getting an intuitive hit. It would be like the goosebumps, the goose flesh. And very minimally have I had clairaudience, which is hearing, and almost never clairvoyance. That's not my strongest. That's my least strongest. So I don't see auras or colors or shapes, generally speaking, no. And I think that would probably freak me out. That's probably why it's not my strongest. So there you go. Welcome if you are just joining me here today. Welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm the author of 12 published books. And if you have a question for me on spirituality, spiritual awakening, twin flames, alcoholism and recovery, the 8 limbs of yoga, yoga philosophy, Ayurveda, the chakra system, any of those things, please do ask in the chat box. So, so Milk for Snack says, without being unkind and no disrespect to anyone's journey, what percentage would you estimate are true twin flames versus perhaps obsession or limerence? So I'm going to be real honest with you. I do not pay too much attention to that. I feel like early in the process, in 2019, when I produced that first video, the 14 signs to know if you're a twin flame, that was in February of 2014. That was not first. I think I had one before about spiritual awakening on the line of this topic, right? I'm not talking, I had been on YouTube for years before that. So in February, of 2019, so one of the first few videos I produced on twin flames was why labels do not matter. Why the label twin flame does not matter. Okay. It's like God, right? So many people get into fights about God, whether it's God or Allah or spirit or Yahweh or whatever, what have you, right? But that doesn't change the essence of what God is, right? The essence doesn't change just because the name changes. So I truly believe that if someone is having an experience, because I get people coming to me every single week in my one-on-one sessions that say to me, Michelle, I have these symptoms, these signs, all of these things have happened. I do not know if I'm a twin flame. I think I am. I'm pretty sure I am. I'm pretty certain I am, but I'm not sure. Okay. So what I say to others is, if you know in your heart of hearts that this is the experience you are having, that is the experience you are having. I cannot tell you whether or not you're having this experience. Sometimes in the tarot cards, if I'm doing a tarot reading for a twin flame, real signs will come up to be like twin flame, twin flame, twin flame all over the place. But that's very rare. It only happens in a very small percentage of my tarot readings. I usually say, trust your gut, trust your intuition. And if this is the experience that you are having, then honor the experience. Because in reality, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is what you are living in the experience, right? Because if you've been paying attention to my videos, all of you who are out there watching, if you have been paying attention to my videos for any amount of time, if you've read my 2 books, Twin Flame Romance and Twin Flame Union, if you've taken my Twin Flame boot camps, you know that I always say this twin flame journey is not about the labels. It's not about the outcome. It's not about the union. It's about who you become through the journey. Who are you as a person becoming? Are you kinder? Are you gentler? Are you more compassionate? Do you love yourself more? And that's why I feel that this upcoming book is my seminal work, Love Me Unconditionally, A Spiritual Guide to Self-Love. This by far will be the greatest work I have ever written, because this is the whole point and purpose to all of you that are on the spiritual journey, that are on the twin flame journey. This is the point. The point is you loving yourself unconditionally in this life, in every moment that you have left on earth. That is the most important thing. It's not about what the other people in your life are doing. It's about you and holding that space for yourself to love yourself. So there you go. Off my pulpit now. Okay. Okay, so thank you. Mr. Mavic said, very well presented. I'm new to these energies and I keep doubting myself and reassuring by watching signs as a twin flame, and I keep passing the test. Oh, that's funny. Thank you. Also, technical, great lighting and audio. Well, I'm really happy the audio is going well, because I think the first time I tried to go online with the live, I tried to hook up my very fancy Rode mic and it didn't jive with YouTube Studio. And so I did a whole silent YouTube live. Let's see what's up here. Why do twin flames have age gaps? I met my twin flame at work. He's 14 years younger than me. We look the same age. We even look alike. It may be insecure, even though men do it all the time. Yeah, it's so funny. So do you know anything about my story, manifesting beauties? I'm gonna take a sip of see this cute little cup here? Got this cute little espresso cup. I got this for my wedding back in 1995. I went to school in France, and it was my college friends that got me this. I know, isn't it cute? Look but it's like the Provence blue. I went to school in Provence, France, like the south of France. So it's a gorgeous color blue. So age gap, let's talk about it. It's so interesting. If you know my story, my twin flame is 13 years younger than me. We also met at work. He was also in a superior position. So, yeah, it was a very tenuous situation, if you will. And I did feel uneasy about the age gap, me being older, him being younger. And I even like pushed him away because of the age gap, like a lot. I pushed him away a lot, probably more than I should have pushed him away. But I was very insecure about it. And I think that was one of my personal obstacles that I needed to overcome. I needed to overcome this notion of age being a thing, right? Because it's not a thing. And you were so spot on and so right when you said, like, men do it all the time. Why is it such a big deal? Why are women looked at as being less than because they date a younger guy, right? So it was something that I had to actively work on because I knew it was my problem. It wasn't his problem. It was my problem. And so some interesting things transpired between then and now. And the things that tended to transpire were that I ended up dating men that were even younger than him. And it was just by chance. It wasn't like I was looking for it. It's that I organically met guys who were in their 30s. My twin flame now is 42, but at the time that I met him, he was 35. But I mean, this is talking like 2 or 3 years into the process. I started dating guys that were way younger. And I was like, what's happening? Like, why do I keep meeting all these 30 somethings? But for me, I think it was my way to work through that hang up that I had about age gap. And now I'm like, well, I wouldn't date anyone under 40. I just think it's too much for me as far as like generational interests, if you will. But I really had to overcome it. And I think that was just one of the obstacles that many twin flames have to overcome, because it's an artificial boundary, if that makes sense. It's artificial. It's not even real, right? What's real versus artificial? And that was kind of an artificial boundary. Okay, so all right. Well, this has been wonderful so far. We're going to wrap this up in just a few minutes, but I'm really happy that you guys have decided to join and ask questions, because that is the whole point and purpose to this, is so that I can engage with you, because it's a lot of fun to do. And it's something that I don't get to do quite often. I used to do tarot readings here online lives, but I don't do that anymore. So let's see here. So if you have any questions for me, then please do put that in the chat below. I'm going to try to find another question that I have here. Oh, I already answered that. One more quick, simpler question. Were you spiritual since a very young age, or did you have a moment, I'm imagining that's supposed to be of a sudden shift in life? I do talk about this quite a bit. Thank you for that question, by the way. I appreciate you asking the question. I do talk about this quite a bit. I would say I was always spiritually awake. I tell stories about when I was about 5 years old. I thought I was having conversations with God, where I would audibly hear a voice talk to me, and I would ask and answer. I was about 5 or 6. And now that I'm older and wiser, I realize that it wasn't necessarily God, although it may have been. it was excuse me. It was probably my guardian angels, because I grew up in a very dysfunctional household. I was frightened a lot of the times, and I was upset and scared a lot of times. And it was always this calming voice that would come and reassure me. And so I believe now that that was the voice of the angels that were coming in to talk to me, to tell me that everything was going to be okay. But then I had subsequent spiritual awakenings. One happened when I was 17, and I met a man who was older than me. And I do talk about our meeting in this book. In the preface, I talk about meeting him because he was the one that introduced me to meditation and yoga when I was 17 and 18. So I met a man who was older, and that is really where it was like the explosive growth. So I learned about yoga, meditation, Zen Buddhism. I was reading all these books on like the Tao of Pooh. I was reading like the art of motorcycle maintenance, Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. I was reading all these Zen Buddhist books when I was 17 and 18 and didn't understand any of it. I didn't understand any of it. It's just that this man had introduced me to all of this. So it was like this sudden like emergence of like spiritual energy coming toward me. So no, I've had several different spiritual awakenings throughout my life. I think the biggest and most impactful, I would say, I think the one when I was 28 was really impactful, but like the twin flame one was really impactful. So there you go. Hello, Debbie. Welcome, welcome. My obstacle was that if I believed that God picked us out, then I didn't want to mess it up. Now we've grown and we'll put up boundaries. Yeah, you know, I think I got caught up in that when I learned that I was a twin flame in 2018, and there wasn't a lot. It was like there wasn't a lot on twin flames in 2018, but then all of a sudden at the beginning of 2019, there was a lot on twin flames. And I believe at that time, there was also a lot of misinformation about the journey. And I think there was a lot of pull and push and a lot of influencers on YouTube, for example, stating that if you didn't do A, B, or C, you were doing things against God's work, and you're supposed to be together with your twin flame and you have to make it happen. If you don't make it happen, it's your fault. You know, there were a lot of these people saying these things that were not true. But I think the pressure was there to try to follow certain rules and regulations that you had to be in union, and you had to make it happen within a timely fashion. And I just didn't buy into that rhetoric after the first couple of months, because I was like, ooh, there's something in this that just doesn't feel right. So yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, so I am just so excited that there is engagement this time. Yay! So here's what I want to do from now, because it sounds like there may not be any more questions now as we hit the end of the live stream. I want to invite you guys, if you have not yet taken my Immersion into Meditation course, I'd like to invite you to an open info session over Zoom on Monday, February 16th of 2026 at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can sign up. The link is at the top of the description box right here in this video or the live video. You can just click through and sign up, and there's no obligation to be there. You can watch it on replay. I would like you to be there though, if you have questions about learning meditation. Excuse me. Maybe it's been something on your mind. Maybe meditation has been something you've been thinking about for a really long time, but you've been hesitating, or maybe you've done guided meditations from time to time, but it just hasn't worked. Like you do it, but then you don't do it, and then you do it, and you don't do it. This technique that I learned from Deepak Chopra, I'm a Chopra certified instructor. This technique that I learned is learning for life. You learn once, just once, and you learn for your entire life. So it's really a one-time commitment, but a lifetime of practice. So you can join me on February 16th to find out more. And I also have like several free bonuses that I'm giving away with that course this time around. So one is the Dharma workshop. I'm even thinking of doing a 30-day meditation challenge where you'll get a little video from me every single day for 30 days, like urging you to practice your meditation. So that's then. And hey, I'm so happy you guys are here. I will see you live on this channel in 2 weeks, hopefully 2 weeks. That would be the 17th. Yeah, I'm headed to Florida toward the end of February for my Disney Princess Half Marathon that I've been training for. So, but I will be here in 2 weeks for the Chat with the Author live. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me here now. Thank you for joining me on every video on my channel. Really appreciate you guys being here and watching and commenting. And it keeps this channel alive. Thanks so much. And I'll see you guys next time. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.